Hey everyone, Lauren here. I have a rare opportunity where I'm actually creating a mural board from scratch. And I get questions all the time on how you design mural boards and what goes into it. How do you make them prettier? And so I figured I would show this while I'm doing it so that you can begin to see how I put things together. So the first thing that I want to do is give this guy a title. This is actually for an upcoming workshop for MAFN. So this is Mid-Atlantic Facilitators Network. So the next thing to do is to kind of look at the board as a whole and see this is just the default mural size. So I zoomed way out so you can see it. And I know for this workshop, I'm going to need a number of things. So I'm going to go to my agenda and look through this and see what is it do I need. I like to think about mural like my flip chart or the walls in my space, where anywhere where I'd have a slide or a flip chart on the wall, such as an agenda or ground rules, I'm going to need space for that in my mural board. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually edit the mural size. You can change the background color. Sometimes it's really cool to make it darker. I'm actually going to just go with plain white. And I'm going to make this more vertical because I tend to like the look of the vertical sizing. The next thing to think about is the branding of this. So I know it's for MAFN, but this is actually promoting Dancing with Markers, my company. So I think I'm going to use colors from Dancing with Markers. Okay, so it's going to drop it in the board there. Yay. I'm going to stick it up there near the top. And now there are some different ways to figure out what colors these are. So I actually already have my color numbers, but let's say you didn't. You could use an Adobe Suite software and use the eyedropper tool to find these colors. And then if you wanted to brand your mural board, I could change any of the sticky note colors to make them branded and match what's going on with the board. So if you wanted to do that because you like the look of it, you could either use Adobe Suite or you can use the eyedropper tool just in PowerPoint to help you find the colors. So let me show you how to do that. Open a blank presentation and I'm going to insert picture, find it. There's my logo. First, I'm going to insert and then go to a shape. And then I can actually click fill and grab the eyedropper tool. And now it's that color. Now, when I click fill and I click this color, actually click more fill colors, I can actually get the color number right here. So I want this color. That's my yellow. And go back into mural and let's grab another sticky note. Let's say it wasn't this color already, I would just click add color and paste that number in. And now I have the branded color. Let's grab another one. So let's say I wanted to change this color, fill, eyedropper, I want this red. Now I can right click it and then go back to fill, more fill colors, and the red's already there. So now I have my color number, click OK. And now I can change this one, click the post-it, click the color, add color, and then add the color number. And now that red shows up there. Fortunately, I don't think I can move these around, but I can at least make that a red. So it's kind of nice. I just put my little swatch up here in the corner for whenever I want to grab those post-its. Okay, so now I have my colors and I can start to design a custom mural board. You're probably wondering, why haven't I given this a title yet? Let's go ahead and do this. Click the post-it note tool, click the title tool, make this really big, and I'm going to move it here. So again, this is MAFN. Zoom out a little bit so you can see that. And now I'm going to change this. My favorite one, I think, is this marker felt, but there's all kinds of fun fun fonts in here to play with. Now I want to just add a little something to this just to make it more fun. I'm gonna put a shape in here. Let's grab the box tool. And I mean, you can do so many different things with just a simple shape. I think I want to go like that. And I'm going to remove the outline and let's make this that nice yellow. And copy and paste it. So there's another one. Maybe do that behind. And I'm going to make it my red. Now I'm going to take this yellow, right click it. I want that to be in the front. Why? Because I think it looks good. I'm going to right click both of those, group them together, and then I'm going to send them to the back. Boom. And just that little touch of branding can make this really, really fun. And I'm going to add just a little task that people can do when they come in. I want when they come in to go ahead and introduce themselves in the chat with their name, location, and something that excites them. So this is going to be up on the Zoom screen when they log in. With just a few little tricks, I can take this simple post-it and make it more interesting. I can even, if I copy paste, delete that, let's make this my gray, and I'm going to right click it and send to the back. Look at that. It's just a little touch, but it makes it so much more interesting. I have that in there. Now, if I wanted to make sure that this was a perfect column, I can shift and select these and actually make this into a column. And now they're nice and even. So now I'm thinking about this and I'm trying to think about what do I want to have be on the screen right when people come in. And I think I want them to be able to see the title and the do now. So what I'm thinking about now is actually selecting, shift and hold all of these elements I made and shrinking them down. And then to take, let's move that box out for now, just this guy. Not sure why I created that extra element, but just take that guy and put it up here and then with my picture. Okay, so now what I can do, this is a little bit of a trick, but something that a lot of people don't know is to add something to the outline. If you want to add like a view of something to the outline, you can put a box around it like that. This is just a shape. And now I'm going to right click that shape. And if I can grab it, sometimes it doesn't want to be clicked. And I'm going to say add to outline. And I'm going to call this welcome and do now. Now this is an area of my board. Now let's say I don't want this black line around it. What I can do is I can select it and click that I don't want it to be seen. Of course, if you want to find it again and lock it so it doesn't move. Now when I click, the outline should zoom right in on that spot. I like to use the Groves meeting startup template, and when designing mural boards, sometimes it's hard to know where do I go next. I traditionally like to start in the top left and then either want to go to the right or down. Why? Because we read from left to right and top to bottom. So it just makes logical sense. The other nuance with mural boards that you want to remember is to leave a little space, because if you're going to use the outline mode, then you don't want to be able to see whatever you had before previously. So I think what I'm actually going to do is make kind of a zigzag pattern and put the ORS chart or the outcomes, agenda, agreements, and roles over here. So I'm going to find the image. And now you have to buy these templates from the Grove because they are Grove IP, so you have to own them. But there, grab my image in there, and I'm going to widen that. And then, well, I would normally lock it, but actually, I think what I want to do, no, I don't want to post it for this. I want a shape. So I want to go ahead and put a shape. Oops, too many shapes. Behind my ORS chart to make it pop. So Select the shape and make it big. Now I can change the color. Maybe I want this to be my nice branded red with no border, and then I'm going to right click and send it to the back. So now, ooh, I like how it looks with just the sides. I've just given it something a little bit extra. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select whatever shape's behind. I'm going to right click, add that to my outline, and that is my oars. Oh. I use agreements, and I know that's spelled different, but I use agreements instead of rules. I'm going to right click both of those elements and lock them so that I can add things to this. So I'm going to scroll in here and fill this in. Okay, so now I have all of my text in here, which was just basically a combination of copying, pasting the title and changing the size. I'm actually going to select all of my text and go ahead and lock it so that it can't be moved around. And then I'm going to add a little picture of a beach ball because I want to illustrate a point. So I'm going to show you, I can use the images tool. Let's see what pops up when I search beach ball. Ah, perfect. Oh, look how many. There are so many fun colors. Okay, these are great. Which one should I choose? Let's do this one because it's got the transparent background. So it just goes right in there. Excellent. Okay. Unlock that guy too so it doesn't get moved around. Imagine you could have a virtual beach ball party, a volleyball court. Cool trick, you can go into presentation mode and then you can actually click through like slides, which is pretty neat. And just notice that the vertical movement kind of makes that a neat effect because they don't need to see the full board, but we're just creating some movement in the board. We're dancing with our mural boards. So look at this, I've already used a lot of my space. Let's go ahead and edit the mural size and customize it. Let's actually make this, let's go ahead and make it 30,000. Let's see if it'll let me do that. Excellent. Now it's nice and big. I'm not worried about space anymore. Okay, so let's add a space for polls. Okay. Now I want to add a little piece of clip art. I like to keep a file of hand-drawn clip art that I can use for a lot of different things. So I'm going into my little clip art file and find something that seems to represent a pole. Let's put this little guy in here. He looks fun. Okay. So now that I've got most of my elements in the mural board, it's time to design my template. So I need to first get all of the elements that I need in the template. Again, this is a pretty bread and butter strategic communications template, but I'm going to start by adding all of the text that I need. These are going to be my headers. I love that Mural gives you these little guidelines to help you. And call to action. Now, it's possible that there's already a grid template that I could use. I could grab that 9 box, but I think I'm gonna do my own. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna add a shape behind there. Just got a new design idea. Let's put that guy there. No outline. So now I have my basic template in here, and you can see what I ended up doing was I used boxes, and then instead of lines, which enabled me to make the same shape 3 times with the exact same width. So that was really helpful. And then I added a title up here. I added who worked on this template, and I added this nice dark backer just to give it a little bit of contrast. So I'll always like to have a little contrast in the templates. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to group all these together so those won't move. And I'm going to go ahead and lock them. And what I like to do is to keep this a nice clean board, I'm actually going to go ahead and fill in the sticky notes where I want people to work, which just adds a nice level of organization. So here's an interesting predicament. I've gotten all of my Post-it notes in now, but I'm realizing that I don't really like the spacing of this. And so what I'm actually going to do is I unlocked that back. I grouped and locked this back layer. I unlocked it in order to change the spacing without making this kind of a huge mess for myself. I'm going to move that out of the way. Then I'm going to ungroup this so I can make some of those changes. I just want to pull that in a little bit, and this needs to be a little bit more over. Now I'm going to select this again. Now make sure you unselect anything that actually needs to be typed into. Right click, I'm going to group them. I'm going to re-select those and move that back up. So now I have my template, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and name this as my example, because I feel good about this and it's done. But if anyone needed to sign off on this template, I would be sure to have them do so before I do this next step. I know I need 10 templates. So that means I have to copy and paste this 10 times. I'm going to select or copy and paste. I'm going to move this down a bit and zoom in. We're calling this Breakout 1. And I'm going to repeat that 10 times. One quick thing I could do to make this easier would be to shift and select 4 at a time and then copy and paste. I take a second to get more of them on there. And there it goes. So now I've got my 10 templates plus my example in here. What I'm going to do now is make sure they're all in the outline, because that is what's going to make people be able to find what template or table they should be working on. So zooming in, I'm going to select whatever the biggest shape is on each example, right click, add to outline. We're calling this example. And I just, look at that, unintended consequence. It brought that to the front. Right click it and send it back. Things happen. I'm going to go down to the next one, grab the back layer, right click, add to outline, and Breakout 1. And that guy, send it back. That didn't work. Right click, send it back. So I'm going to do a little bit of a workaround, because somehow adding this back layer is causing me a little bit of struggle with elements not being on the proper layer. So I'm going to try what I did earlier, which is to add a box around the area that I want, and then to right click. I got to zoom in a little bit, right click, and add that box to the outline, calling this Breakout 1. And then make that box invisible. And hopefully lock it. Now I can still make sure you can still type into the elements. Okay, Breakout 1, done, and the example is fine. So I'm going to repeat that, making the box and adding them to my outline for the remainder of the 10 templates. Okay, so now I have my 10 templates in the outline mode. I'm just going to make sure that they all work. So here's example, Breakout 1, Breakout 2, Breakout 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. And the true test is, can I double click and, okay. So now what happens is, since this board is still loose, that means anybody can click it and it could move around and get confusing. So now that I have all of these outlines, now I want to right click and lock. And that way, if they move anything around, they won't be moving anything except the post-its. Okay, so I'm going to do that for all of the boards. Did just have something funky happen where I tried to right click and it won't let me lock it because there's something over it. So I actually unlock that little invisible one, shift and select, so it's actually highlighting both, then lock both back up. And now I'm ready to fill in my sample board.